Hi everyone, I'm Da'aء Amran and I'm a visiting professor at the University of New Mexico in the USA. Thank you so much for inviting me to give this recorded talk to you today about my experience in working with international scholars and doing international publications and conferences. I'll be focusing today in my talk on the following publications, my publications with Routledge, and how I use social media to gather scholars from across the world, and with a focus on my Facebook group called Complete Scholars, organizing panels in conferences, and last but not least, organizing a conference with Alexandria University last spring. So just like to tell you something about myself. So I'm a graduate of Alexandria University Faculty of Arts, and I studied literature there. I came to the US in 2007, and I taught Arabic at Stetson University in Florida, and Fulbright has this exchange program for, where you will go to the US and teach your native language. And that was like the beginning of my experience in the US. I then came to New Mexico, where I'm also currently visiting professor to do my MA and PhD. I did my master's in comparative literature on Occidentalism, and then I took a class on medieval literature titled Medieval Saints, Sinners, and Lovers, and then I converted to the Middle Ages, even though I still do contemporary research in contemporary literature, but I also do medieval research. In my dissertation, I studied female character archetypes or mega archetypes in medieval romances, and that has given me some background on starting my projects on Muslim women writers. So it's basically, I've been like working with feminism most of the time. So it's very important to have a good mentor and a good teacher who would guide you and be generous to you and just like give you all what they have learned. And my mentor has been my professor. She was on my PhD committee, Professor Jaswala, Feroza Jaswala. And I've been like doing a lot of research with, and we produced 3 books or 2 books and a special issue so far, and we are working on other future projects. So it all started with organizing a panel for ACLA, American Comparative Literature Association, back in 2016. And this is a photo of the participants in our panel. And the title of our panel was Muslim Women. So the ACLA, it's, this is how it functions. It's like a seminar. Every day we had 4 papers on Muslim women. The other day, another 4 papers on Muslim women. So like basically we had 12 or maybe 16 papers presented in that conference on Muslim women, and the result were 2 books. One came out in 2021 with a focus on the Middle East. The other one came in 2022 with the focus on South and Southeast Asia. So how did I get scholars to give me scholarship on Muslim women from the Middle East? I'm an emerging scholar, and we needed to find contributors to our book. The field is relatively new. Not many people do research in that field, even though now more and more people are doing research and publishing. But what I did is just I invited my friends, people who recently had their PhDs, people who are very hardworking, scholars from Egyptian universities as well as in US universities. Mostly all of the contributors in our first book were women, talking about women. And the purpose of this book was to invite women from our region to talk about Muslim women, not white women talking about Muslim women, or white men talking about Muslim women, and having all these stereotyped images. So our book tried to break these stereotypes and combat them. So actually, if you look at the names of our contributors, some of them might be really or are actually very familiar to you. Professor Magda Hasab al-Nabi contributed a chapter to our book on Latifa Zayyat. We invited Arthi, our friend from the UK, to give us a chapter. Many people from Alexandria University, like friends, classmates in a way. Riham Debian from Alexandria University, me, and Amani and Najla, Heba, Gaber. These are like, there were like classmates. We also invited scholars from abroad to give us chapters, such as Rima Sadiq from Lebanon and who works in the US currently. Of course, you know your friend Asma Awad from here. She also gave us a chapter. Funda Guven, our friend from Turkey, also gave us a chapter on pious Turkish women writing novels, and so forth. So the book is like 20 chapters, and you know, chapters by mostly Muslim women. Not all the contributors are Muslim, and given voice to their sisters from that part of the globe. The other book came out last year, and we focused on India, Pakistan, that's like South Asia. Southeast Asia would be Indonesia, Malaysia, Burma, Brunei, you know, regions that, you know, no research on Muslim women is really done on these from these places. So Dr. Jaswala, who's more familiar with that region, actually invited her friends. So basically, we are inviting our friends who wants to get published to give us work, and we revise like the chapters one like we do like multiple drafts, of course. So basically, like helping our friends get published and get visibility, and we work together as like a circle, a group of friends, and we always welcome new people, you know, always like our group of scholars that we work with keeps expanding all the time. So how did my Facebook group Complete Scholars start? So after I published the first book, my friends were so happy, and they asked me to keep like, they asked me individually, would you please let us know about publication chances? Would you please let us know about publication chances? So I thought, okay, shall I create a WhatsApp group or just a group on email? And then I thought, okay, let's just have a Facebook group. The group started with 10 or 15 people, and I kept inviting more and more people, and my friends kept inviting their friends, until now we have like more than 3,300 scholars in that group. 50% of the members are from Egypt, and the rest are from across the world. In that group, I post call for papers for conferences and publishing opportunities, new books, job announcements, and so forth. Actually, for the second book, I did announce that I needed chapters on this and that. So whenever I organize a panel in a conference or start a book project, I would post on my group, and you are always welcome to join that group, invite your friends, post about a project that you come across, a project that you want to start, and so forth. Another thing that I want to tell you about today, to talk about today, is one publication chance opens the door for another. So after we did the first book, and while we were working on our second book, we organized, Dr. Jaswala and I, we organized a panel at the MLA, Modern Language Association conference, and that was during the time of the pandemic, and invited people to present there. And the title of the panel was Muslim Women Speaking Persistently. After we had our panel, and it was a very successful one, a month or two later, I get an email from Women's Studies and Interdisciplinary Journal. I got I got an email from Camille Mader, and she's on the she's the managing editor of the journal, and she invited me and my co-editor to do a special issue for their 51st anniversary. Of course, we welcomed the idea, and we invited more scholars, and we solicited more abstracts for our new project. And with these 3 projects, we invited 60 participants, but for the special issue, we had like 10 articles and book reviews and an interview. And we just did it like Muslim women speaking persistently. This was from all parts of the globe. And the focus was really international, not just focusing on one geographical area. So here is the table of contents for our special issue. As you see, like an introduction, and we had it like divided into sections: Muslim women in the diaspora, Muslim South Asian and Southeast Asian women, another section on Muslim Middle Eastern women, in an interview with an Indian writer, book reviews, multiple book reviews, and again, friends and friends of friends inviting each other to participate in our project. We need to have gratitude for each other and for our professors. And Dr. Jaswala, as I said, she helped a lot of scholars from across the globe, and Alexandria University Faculty of Education was really very gracious, and they invited us to do a conference on their campus. So I invited again, definitely Dr. Jaswala was our main keynote speaker. I invited Dr. Bishop, Stephen Bishop. He was on my MA committee. Our friend Ume, Dr. Emmanuel Miligi from Damanhur University. I just forgot to tell you that I worked for 1 year in Damanhur University before coming to the US. I invited friends to our conference. The conference was called Women of the World. And how did that conference happen? Again, through Facebook publicity. I posted on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There is a very good website, a website there. There's a very good website hosted by the University of Pennsylvania, UPenn, where people post CFPs, and I also posted for the conference there. This is how we got 50 international participants attending the Women of the World, or the WOW conference. We needed to accommodate our guests, so I was responsible for doing the conference correspondence, starting an Excel sheet, and keeping track of our participants. This is something that you definitely need to do if you want to do a good conference. Also, remember, I just mentioned Camille Mader from Women's Studies and an interdisciplinary journal, the journal that we did our special issue with. I thought we should have a publishing opportunity session at the conference. So I invited Camille Mader to talk about her journal. And I also invited a friend that was a colleague, Marzia Dessi, who has a journal called Otherwise Engaged, and it's a creative writing journal. She publishes poetry, fiction, and so forth. So I invited also 2 friends to come and talk about publishing in their journals. So a conference, to my understanding, is like a party. You need to invite good people, make sure you accommodate them all really well, and keep track of them, and respond to their emails. That's why I did all this work, and I even created a WhatsApp group to make sure that the foreigners, the international people